Hello, this is the Progressive Cynic, and in this video I will be discussing the double standard that exists between the United States and Syria in regard to violations of the laws of war. At this point, we're pretty sure that Syria has actually used chemical weapons on its own people. We do not know whether or not the order to use these weapons came from the top, or whether it was from a rogue faction within the military. According to evidence by the UN, it appears that Assad's brother was the one who actually authorized the strike. But the strike was committed by military officials. It was carried out by the actual Syrian troops, and it used weapons from the Syrian arsenal. This makes it an action by the Syrian military. And it doesn't matter if Assad did not actively order it, the Syrian government has committed a violation of the laws of war. Now, the United States is talking about going in, and we're currently engaged in a fairly large political fight over whether or not the use of chemical weapons is a red line or an irrefutable justification for the United States to become involved in another country's affairs. This comes at a time where we have almost no credibility on the issues of the laws of war, simply because we've been violating them for years. One perfect example of this is the United States' use of drones. Over the last several years, we have implemented a drone program where hundreds of unmanned aerial vehicles would go around in countries where we're not currently declared at war with, and killing people who we either suspect of being terrorists or who we just see as suspicious. Oftentimes these happen in civilian areas, and oftentimes we actually end up killing people who do not deserve to die. In this video, I will compare the two programs, the Syrian chemical weapons strikes and the American drone strikes, and draw some comparisons which may be uncomfortable. Now, in the Syrian chemical weapons strikes, 1,429 people are estimated to have been killed by the United States. We have these numbers from a report that was released by John Kerry to the media. Of the people killed, 426 of whom were children. These numbers will likely fluctuate because there are some residual effects of gas that might cause more casualties, or they might be revised up or down based on new information. But the fact remains that a lot of people were killed. It's a tragedy, it's a travesty, and it's a violation of the laws of war. Now, on the other hand, over the past few years, between 2,783 and 4,475 people in just Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia have been killed by American drone strikes. We are not currently at war with any of these countries, and according to the UN, it is not in compliance with the laws of war when we do these drone programs. Of the people killed, between 428 and 1,047 were civilians, and between 173 and 214 were children. These numbers are incredibly low. They're from the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, and they're very conservative with their estimates of civilian casualties. They only claim someone a civilian if it can be proven that the person was actually a civilian in absence of a military classification of them as a non-combatant. Unfortunately, the United States has taken the ridiculous measure of classifying all military-aged males in the area of a drone strike to be de facto enemy combatants unless they are otherwise proven to be innocent. This leads the estimates of innocents killed to be far, far lower than they actually are. Now, when you compare these numbers, you see that at least 2 times more people have been killed by American drones in areas where we have no business being than the Syrian government has killed with poison gas. Poison gas is special in its violation of the laws of war. It's a chemical weapon and a weapon of mass destruction. But I see no difference between poisoning someone with gas and blowing them up, or blowing up their entire neighborhood, in fact, as often happens. Either way, they're dead, and either way, someone has violated the laws of war. Now, I'm not saying that the United States cannot condemn Syria. We need to. Whether or not we should go in is a question. But nobody should argue with the fact that we need to condemn everyone who tries to violate international convention and use dangerous weapons against civilians. That said, we need to condemn our own leaders for violating the laws of war. This isn't to say we should do anything violent. We should have them pay a political consequence. We should vote them out. We should condemn them in the public. And we should treat them as we treat other war criminals. If there are some possibilities of charges being levied against them, we should follow those. In order to retain credibility on the international stage, we need to take care of our own house first. And honestly, it doesn't matter who's in the president's seat. If they're a Democrat, okay. If they're a Republican, okay. This isn't a partisan issue. This is an issue of the law. And we're a nation of laws, not of men. You cannot excuse bad conduct just because of a letter next to the person's name. And we need to act immediately. We need to stop the drone program, and we need to stop violating the laws of war. Everyone who violates the laws of war should be punished, and we are not exempt. Thank you. This has been the Progressive Cynic.